My dear respected elders and friends, Assalamu alaikum. This day 20 years ago was a day that a promise has been broken. This day 20 years ago marks a day that an innocent culture has been robbed of any hope to survive an evil that could not have been predicted. In terms of evil, treachery, and deceit, this day marks the worst genocides who have ever been committed. Never before this has a nation been promised protection, only to see more than 8,000 of their men and boys murdered, tortured, and slaughtered in just 2 days. Statistically speaking, the Srebrenica genocide was not the worst genocide. But from a moral perspective, no people faced the amount of injustice that the Srebrenica victims faced. Not because they were tortured and killed, but because they were lied to. Justice is not a matter of facts and statistics, but rather of moral rightness. Justice is not based off of the popular opinion, but rather the moral truth. Justice is not the law of one nation, but rather the law of humankind. If the UN expects other nations to rely on it to provide for this justice, they cannot pick and choose which crimes they defend. They cannot pick and choose which people they protect. If they choose the path of justice, they will not fight for what the people want them to fight for, nor what their chiefs and executives want them to fight for. If they choose the path of justice, they will fight for what is right. Srebrenica residents defending their homes from an outside aggression were told to lay down the small amount of arms that they had by the UN, and in exchange for protection, they entrusted their lives to the UN peacekeeping forces, who not only failed to defend Srebrenica, but handed them into the very arms of the bloodthirsty Serbs who they were supposed to protect them from. The crimes committed against Srebrenica took place on two sides of the spectrum. On one side were the Serb aggressors who showed no mercy to the innocent victims, who had such animosity and hatred towards the Bosnian Muslims that they didn't even want their bodies found and buried. And on the other side of the spectrum stood those who, instead of providing for the protection they had promised, they took any chance of survival that the Srebrenica citizens had. My dear respected elders and peers, this building that we stand in front of today and the institution that it symbolizes is supposed to represent the people of the world. All people. Therefore, they have a responsibility to protect those in need of protection and to protect those who are oppressed, and especially to protect those whom they have promised protection. A promise to a nation, a promise to a people, and most importantly, the trust that we once had for this institution was broken on July 11th, 20 years ago. The UN shared the blame for what transpired in Srebrenica, and we need to call it for what it is: a genocide. We, the new generation, deserve to build our future on solid foundations. And this cannot happen without reconciling with our past. For as long as we have genocide deniers leading our countries and war criminals walking freely and sitting in positions of power in our police and in our security forces, the future that we envision for our nation to progress is not possible. Today, I speak as a representative of our youth, the first generation of youth after the genocide. And we are making you this promise. We will never forget what happened, and we will never forget who is responsible. this to the countless amount of children who are left without their fathers. We owe this to the mothers who are still looking for the remains of their loved ones. We owe this to ourselves. We are the lucky ones growing up in this land of the free and the home of the brave. We were given a chance to a relatively normal life and a good education. Everything that the Srebrenica youth were deprived of. But make no mistake, we make you this promise. We will never forget. As future lawyers, doctors, and politicians, we will fight for justice in this world so that Srebrenica will never happen again. Not there, not here, not anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.